They look like Forrest Gump's knee braces at the beginning of Forrest Gump, where he just stiff-legged running around. It was awful. His yards per game are the second worst in his career. His yards after the catch are the worst in his career. He's got 3 touchdown receptions, which is tied for the worst of his career, and we're going into week 17. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Derrick Rose. Not Derrick Rose we're watching now, but Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is 30, Gronk is 29. Derrick Rose, when he first got in the league, couldn't shoot, but it didn't matter because you couldn't keep him in front of you. And he was so explosive in the mid-range and at the rim. He was the MVP of the league. It doesn't mean he was the best player in the NBA, but he was the MVP of the league, which is what Gronk was. Gronk was too big, too strong, too fast. Right? There was no good matchup for Rob Gronkowski. None. Double team, it didn't matter. He was too big. You put a linebacker on him, he's too fast. Put a corner on him, too strong. But because his gifts of size and mix of athleticism with that size were so profound that as he's lost that athleticism, he didn't really develop kind of what Antonio Gates has or what Jason Witten had. Like, look, Jason Witten looked like he was dragging a dead body during his last year playing for the Dallas Cowboys. But the Cowboys have been devastated and decimated, at least early in the season, by his departure. Why? He didn't outrun anybody, but against the zone, he knew how to find just the right pocket. Against man-to-man, he understood option routes and how to read a guy and where to push off. Same thing with Antonio Gates. Like, look, I know Antonio Gates fumbled last week, and the Chargers essentially retired him before Hunter Henry got hurt. But he's still an effective player, even though he has no speed left in the tank. Why? Because in the continuum of athleticism and football intelligence, he's gained enough football intelligence. Gronk didn't have to develop that. That's the same thing with Derrick Rose. It took Derrick Rose essentially 3 years to rework his body, to rework his game to where he's like, hey, guess what? I can't blow by everybody anymore. I got to shoot 3-pointers. That's why he's shooting 45% from 3. Just a ton of work reforming and refining and completely changing who he is. But Gronk has been this guy his entire career, and it doesn't feel like he has much life left to relearn or rethink. That's not the way the NFL works. It's not like he's Larry Fitzgerald and you go from out wide to in the slot. You know, could he essentially beat single coverage at some point? Maybe. But it feels like by that point, he'll be out of the league because he's had so many surgeries and so many injuries that it's taken years off of his football life. Derrick Rose gets the benefit of the NBA, which you can play into your mid-30s and you can lose some athleticism and gain that basketball skill that he's gained. I don't know if Gronk has that clock or has that in him. Keep in mind, the last 2 years, he's held out and thought about the idea of retiring, and the NFL is just far different. Once you think about it, you kind of are retired. Feels like this is the end, and the Patriots knew it going back to last offseason. All right, coming up next, James Harrison's going to join us. We will talk about Prove It Weekend. But the Lakers lost the game last night. Lost in Sacramento. Gave away a big lead, but might have won the war. I'll explain why next. I'm Doug Gottlieb. This is The Herd.
Does this make you want a Reese's?